All right, everybody, we got the one Tigris tent set up here, the Stella 1. This is the most recent version. And when I spoke to the manufacturer, talked about the center pole overlapping, going into a spot that wasn't reinforced. So they said, oh, when you stake it out and all that stuff and it's all stretched out, it won't have that problem. So I said, okay, I'll give it a chance. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get the camera up in here. We're gonna look for ourselves. Actually, I don't need to do that. I can see right here. See, this should be here because this is all reinforced and this is sitting in a spot that's not reinforced. Okay, let's check out the other side. I gotta watch my guidelines. I almost tripped on my last one. Again, check it out, guys, same thing. So the next video you're gonna see is basically gonna be modified tent pole, center pole. I'm gonna set it up again on a camp or maybe even just in my yard and let you guys know how it is. I'm not overly worried about it at this point. I think it's gonna be a great tent. The thing I really like about it is the color. I just don't like the yellow strip. If you're gonna make a stealthy color, just make it all stealth, man. You know, when I wanna hide, I wanna hide. So anyways, let's see if we can put it against the backdrop a little bit. Yeah, you know, besides the glare from the sun, I mean, that blends in really, really nicely, guys. That's nice. Now, another thing that I've done here, this is going to be a part of my review for the tent, because the idea behind buying this tent was I wanted a 4-season tent that was lightweight because I wanted to create a microclimate inside of the tent that wasn't going to be as affected. And I seeing as how this is a solid wall tent, you can modify it, you can make it mesh, you can make it solid. I'm gonna lock it all up. I'm gonna see how much warmer it's gonna be on the inside. And the nice thing is, check this out. I am situated by a river over here. Water literally all around me. And this is one of my favorite spots. I know this spot and it has a lot of humidity, tons of humidity. It gets very cold and frosty in the morning. So we're gonna see how the Stella 1 does, if it can create a really nice microclimate. I'm pretty sure it'll be able to, just because of the way it seals up, but I'm gonna give you guys my honest review in the morning and we'll go from there. All right, we'll see you on the next clip. One more quick clip here before I do my morning review. Well, there might be more. The way this slides into this, in my personal opinion, is really annoying. My hands get dry and slippery, and so just trying to fit that in, I didn't like it. I would have preferred that they just did like a basic buckle so that if something broke here and you had to change it, you could do it. Anyways, that's my opinion on that. The seams look like they're pretty good. The tent doesn't pull quite as tight as I would like, so I'm gonna get more guy lines and I'm gonna pull this out over here because that's gonna touch the wall, but I'm not really overly worried about it. Okay. All right, guys, so I'm inside the tent, obviously. And you know what? I've only been in here with the screen closed for maybe 2 minutes and it literally already feels warmer. You'll have to excuse the tight angles right now. I just wanna show you here. This is a thermarest that I've got. It's pretty much at the end of the bed. There's just a couple inches there. And then at the feet over here, it's pretty much tight up against there. The only downside with this tent, I'll tell you, is just space. It's a solo tent. I'm only 5'9", and there's not a lot of room in here. I'm just gonna spin this around here. So, you know, yeah, it's a great tent, you guys. It really is nice. Not a lot of room. I'm gonna see if the sleeping bag pressed up against the wall of the tent is gonna create some condensation and some moisture on the bag. I'm hoping that it doesn't, but again, I'll let you guys know in the morning how things go. But you know, the plus side, I guess, to having a smaller tent is it warms up really, really fast. So yeah, stay tuned. Okay. All right, guys, one more thing I want to point out here. Well, it could be multiple things. Zipper to open up here is really nice and easy. Bottom obviously opens easy, it's a straight line. But the problem is, when you go to close it, it's not bad. It's not bad. It can get a little bit rough. I'll show that again. So here, I like to just kind of push on that. It's okay. There could be some long-term stuff with this if you're not careful with it, if you're rough with it. But the screen seems to be fine. Again, at the corner, little bit of a catch. But yeah, anyways. All right, so I wanted to get a shot here of the tent at dusk. You know, I complained earlier about that yellow strip on both sides, but the funny thing about that yellow strip is it's the exact color of these trees here, these bushes and grass blades. It's kind of neat. So it really doesn't stick out, that yellow color, as you can tell here. Just coming closer and closer to it. I mean, of course, it's silhouetted against the water, so that's, you know, not perfect, but, you know, just to see how it blends in with the environment here, it's not a bad idea. Take a look. So yeah, see how that yellow doesn't really pop all that much. It's actually not bad. It's okay. So just come around. Of course, you can't stop anything from when the light hits it. That's always going to shine. But I mean, it's a perfect color. Really nice, kind of an olive drab color. Blends in with the environment really well, I would say. Here, of course, you can see how light the grass is, but you know, that yellow's not bad. It's not that bad. Just come around. Yeah, there she is at dusk. Good color. All right, guys. Well, it's morning time here, as you can tell by how I look. And let's talk about how the tent performed. Well, honestly, it was really, really warm in here. We dropped down to probably about -3 to -5 outside. The Canadian temperatures, you'll have to do your conversions if you're in the US. And it was not even close to that in here. It was very, very warm. I know, because I could breathe. I didn't have a cold nose. I didn't have any problems whatsoever. Things felt good. However, some of the problems that we had with condensation were pretty serious, so I'm going to show you guys right now what I meant, and then we'll get into that a little bit. Here, check it out. So here, pressed up against the thing here, there's frost on the bag on this side. It's probably the same at the head, I think. Yeah, a little bit. So the condensation on the inside of the tent here, there's definitely some condensation. You can see that right here. But none of this inside condensation from my breathing dripped on me. That wasn't an issue. And I think the issue, well, I know that the issue with the foot and the head could easily be resolved by just kind of staking out that bottom part. But I still do find that the tent is a little bit too short. But is it like a major performance issue, the fact that it's too short? No, I wouldn't call it a major performance issue. So the final verdict that for this tent is that it is very good. It's an excellent tent. I think the value is really high for this. I'm going to do more tests, more videos in the future and let you guys know. But as far as creating that really good microclimate, this tent did a good job. All right, guys, so I don't know if you can see this now. Can you see my breath? Probably not, but there's like a ton of steam coming off my breath right now. The moment I opened up the vestibule, holy crap, cold air was just coming into my little space here. It's a massive, massive difference. What a big difference it is with this microclimate that you can create, because it's a 4-season tent and all these walls are pretty much windproof, like semi-windproof. But then another thing I love about this tent too is the vestibule space. Check this out. Absolutely fantastic vestibule space. I've got some things in here so you can kind of see for perspective what it's like. So yeah, great tent, you guys. All right, guys, we're gonna do an outside inspection of the tent now, just to look for major sagging, stuff like that. Now, because the night was so cold, I don't personally expect that the fly is gonna sag much because it's gonna frost. So as you can see here, lots and lots of frost has formed, but the sun is already doing its thing, taking care of this. So yeah, I wouldn't say anything major is going on. We're just doing a full walk through the tent. I want you guys to see everything here. Lots of frost. I could put this away right now and just shake off the frost, which is nice, instead of letting it dry. But you know, my verdict again on this tent, really good tent. But yeah, those bottom parts need to be guyed out because there's condensation that forms. It gets too wet in between, and the head and the tail and the feet of my sleeping bag are a little bit wet, but they'll dry off fast. So guys, another thing to point out here, if there is any sort of grit or dirt in here because of the ground, these things are so difficult to take out. My recommendation is that you just kind of wet them down with some water, rinse them off, and then try to pull them out. I'm wrestling with them. I don't like them. All right. Another thing I like about the tent is the way these are held in place to the center. So then if I got a whole bunch of condensation, what I do is I'll flip one side, I'll shake it out, then I'll dry the canopy with my rag here, and then I'll do the same thing, shake this side. Now this side was in the shade, so I can flip it, keep it in the sun for a few minutes, and now I'm always packing away a nice warm tent, which is key. Another thing, highly recommend, get yourself a good chamois. I got this from Gear Trade in Okotoks, Alberta, here in Canada, and it's nice. You can just kind of do this, wipe this down, nice and easy, and wipe down the poles. I do find these poles a little on the thin side. I know that they're narrower than your standard poles. It'd be nice if they had something a little bit beefier, but then of course if they did that, that would raise the weight. So we'll see over time if the poles are going to be strong. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough wind to be able to check. But one Tigris, if you get this message, if you see this video, please, please, please get rid of this system. It sucks. It took me 3 minutes to take the fly off of there after rinsing it with water. I hate that system. It sucks. It's no good for the ground. Right here is an example. You see how this is holding the air? I've got it all closed up here. I've taken this off the poles like about a minute ago, and it's still holding a lot of air. That's a good indicator of the windproofness and the fact that you can create a really nice microclimate with this tent. This is a true 4-season tent, with the exception of stormproof, you know, snow holding. Other than that, it can take the cold weather. It does a really good job, guys. Highly recommend